Segregated worms. A chick named Natalia, or if you're American, Natasha, makes impressions, and Mr. Poos puts down an elephant load in this episode of Balderdash Academy.
And there comes our time for the second pop quiz. Speaking of unusually far ahead, this pop quiz is from the head of guidance, Mr. Nate Green.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us back here. So one thing that we all know in guidance work that I know is there are a lot of acronyms, and there is one that we need to change. So I know what this is, but I need to get some ideas here. So this acronym, LICSW. So
LICSW.
Yeah.
All right.
So let me know what we should be changing that to.
Nate, I have a suggestion. I believe that to help with clarity, it should just be loud imbeciles climbing steep washing machines. For clarity.
That makes sense.
Hey, thank you, Molly. Yeah, but
Yes.
Marie?
Because, you know, it's springtime and people are taking off their hats and putting their hats back on, and the kids, they're sharing their hairbrushes and stuff. I am certain that LISCW should stand for Lice is Socially Confined to the Water Closet.
Words to live by.
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's kind of a real problem going on in the southern part of the United States. Too many insects and those sorts of creatures, infestations. But unfortunately, they've taken measures a little too far and stopped breeding. They've forcibly stopped the breeding of insects. And this group started up recently to make that stop. It's Louisiana is constantly segregating worms.
Oh, I can't believe they're doing that again. Bob, do you want to weigh in?
I actually have the right answer. What a lot of people don't understand is that the Disney acquisition of certain properties have caused a lot of confusion. They've caused a lot of angst among the fan community. And this, of course, references the leveraged interest controlling Star Wars. The fans just want the stories. Disney's all about weird plot and merchandising.
It's true, man.
Leonard, we have some 4 really good ones right here. We have Molly with climbing washing machines.
Yeah.
Marie with no lice left behind. Steve with segregating worms, and Bob with Star Wars. Which one do you think we should change it to?
I like especially Molly's answer. Climbing washing machines are steep washing machines.
Yes. Loud imbeciles.
Yeah, because like we all need some way to get some exercise nowadays. And, you know, we're all home looking to find some way to get off our butts instead of sitting in front of a computer all day.
I like that. We're gonna go with that. If we had to award points, how many points do you think you should get?
Well, if we had to, I guess we'd get. Maybe. We'll give Molly 500 points.
All right.
500 points to Molly.
Now,
Big money.
now I just want
Bob can get 50 nerd points.
there you go.
I'll take them.
Okay, 30 points this time.
The line between pandering and nerd points, it's so thin.
Gray area.
What this actually stands for is Licensed Independent Clinical Social Worker, which happens to be my job title, or how I got this job. So now I'm going to be changing it to climbing washing machines.
Yeah.
So we'll change that on the website.
Perfect.
I'll get right to that.
Thank you, guys.
Nate, thank you for that report from guidance. Our next game is Lie, Lie Again. Now, in Lie again, I will read an unusual fact about selected members of the faculty. Some are actually truths written ahead of time by our faculty members. Others are complete and utter absolute lies created by myself. Now, our visiting professor and faculty members may question the subject to better understand whether or not the statement is truth or a lie. Either way, the subject must convince everyone else that the unusual fact is true, no matter how absurd it sounds. Pretty straightforward. So our first statement, Marie.
Yes.
You once spent 2 weeks studying theater in Russia at a St. Petersburg Theater Arts Academy and took ballet class with a professional Russian ballerina. Isn't that right? All right. Well, she says it is the truth. Who has our first question for Marie?
I do. What year or years was this, Marie?
The 2 weeks specifically happened in the new year.
Okay, it could have been on the new year. You never know.
It was the spring of 2007.
Spring of 2007.
Spring of 2000. So long before I knew you.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Actually, Molly, you had the next question, if I remember.
I did. How long had you been taking dance before you, or was this a thing?
I had taken a combination tap ballet when I was maybe like 5, 6, 7 years old. And part of this like intensive theater class that I was in was to learn more about your body and how to utilize your body. And throughout the entire semester, we had focuses in certain sort of body technique studies. And when we were in Russia, it was ballet. And so I was studying, I cannot remember the woman's name right now, but she was really old and she had like that bleached blonde hair that used to be very, 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 very thick. But because she's bleached blonde it so many times, it's not as thick anymore. And so I had taken like a tap ballet class for tiny humans when I was a tiny human. But then when I went to Russia, it was like
geriatric ballet.
Yeah. Well, because ballet is storytelling. And so it was totally on theme. But it was hard.
All right, Nate, now you had a question for Marie?
Yeah, it's kind of a two-parter. First one is, how does learning how to park cars teach you about your body? What, valet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
well,
she was a member of the Russian valet.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Well, all right, so ballet, whatever. If you were there for 2 weeks, you probably learned a little bit of Russian because you know where the bathroom is and where the library is, apparently. Can you tell us a little Russian?
Здравствуйте. Спокойной ночи.
That's convincing.
That is.
That sounds. It could be
Нет?
Ukrainian. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I know.
Нет? Да.
Do Ukrainian people?
Like Klingon?
Yeah.
Leonard, do you have any questions for Marie?
Yeah, I guess seeing as you're in this class for a full 2 weeks in a foreign country, I assume you got to know at least a few classmates very well. Can you tell us about any interesting classmates in the class?
Oh, well, so it was a semester-long class, and so the 13 of us were studying the entirety of the semester together. So the 13 of us all went to Russia, and we were all in Russia for 2 weeks. I mean, yeah, I can tell you specifics about the 13 people in my class, but would you be more interested in hearing about Natalia? God, what was the end of her last name? Is super Russian, so I can't pronounce it now. But she was our translator. And she this Russian ballerina teacher that I can't remember the name of, she did not speak a word of English. So Natasha translated the old blonde lady
thinning blonde lady's hair. She translated her Russian, and so her name was Natasha. And 5 years, so this was the second Port Fringe Festival, I was doing a play that had Russian like dialogue set into it, and I was able to message Natasha, and she was like, so all of those Russian words are completely made up. None of those are real Russian words, but this is how you would say these Russian words if they were Russian. So that was an interesting person that I met while I was in Russia.
All right. Any other questions for Marie? All right. So Marie, do you want to sum up with a story as to what actually happened?
Yes. So I went to the National Theater Institute in the spring of 2007, and for 2 weeks of the National Theater Institute semester, they go to study with the St. Petersburg Theater Arts Academy. So I did spend 2 weeks in St. Petersburg, Russia, and I don't remember the name of this, like, she was so small. Like, I'm 5'2", and I'm like a small person. She was smaller than me, and I'm not kidding about this blonde bleached hair. She was the most intimidating person I think I have ever met, because the strictness and like, you know, there's first position, second position, third position. I wanted so badly to do everything correctly and to do everything right that I overextended my hips, and I ended up getting bursitis because I so badly wanted to impress this Russian ballerina lady that I ended up coming home back to the States, went back to Connecticut, and I got a bursitis shot in my hip, or I got a cortisone shot in my hip for bursitis because I went into first position way too fast. Or like I like committed to it way too, like before my body was ready to commit to it, because I so badly wanted to impress this Russian professor.
Steve, you want to stop? You want to start?
Why not? Why not? See, I feel like of everyone here, I know Marie pretty well. But these stories keep coming up that I don't know, which I guess obviously that's the idea, is you have to kind of dig something up that we wouldn't know. But I've never, ever heard Marie mention anything about Russia or a mysterious woman named Natasha or ballet, actually. So this is like blowing my mind, but you're so convincing. Just like the last time we did this, I was 100% convinced right on the gate. This one, I was the opposite. I was not convinced, so then you kind of won me over with the details. But I swore I was not going to let Marie outwit me this week. So I'm going to say it is not true. That is a lie. It is a fallacy.
Steve has it as a lie. Nate, what's your call?
Kind of going down the same path as Steve, but with a different outcome. I think it's true. I thought it was a lie all the way up until you said give the recap, and then it just came out slicker than smelt. And I think,
Slicker than smelt.
yeah, it's got to be real.
All right, Molly, what's your call?
Oh man, this is tough. I'm pretty sure that it's not true, but then that last part with the cortisone and the varietis and the first and God darn it, you're a good liar, I think. And then I'm pretty sure you said her name was Natalia, and then you said Natasha. But it could just be memory. Oh God, it's so hard. Lie.
All right, so Leonard, we have Molly with a lie, Nate with the truth, Steve with a lie. What's your call on this?
Well, having known Marie for an hour and a half now, I've never heard her talk about ballet.
Exactly.
So I'm convinced it's a lie, and I don't think any of it is true.
Wow.
All right, Marie.
She didn't know what a valet is. So
Marie, I think it's time to come clean.
It is truth. I was trying to find a picture of myself in the studio, and I can't share my screen with you right now.
Wow.
But I look like a child.
She got me again.
Marie is really, really good at this game.
I'm so bad at this game.
It's really small, but that's
you go.
That's the studio room. You can't.
holy cow.
That's me with the braids. Yeah, and I'll find
Wow.
Natasha for you.
That's
So
awesome.
I'll
Natalia.
stop sharing. Her in Russian you say Natalia, but when she was a translator, we Americans couldn't say Natalia, so she just introduced herself as Natasha. So we all called her Natasha.
Oh,
Heard
Pronounce that. We're gonna-
Wow.
her, it was all Natalia. Yeah.
If you had said that before, we would have all said you were lying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sure. Yeah, that's why.
No, it's all true. Sorry, guys.
oh.
All right. So our next potential truth or potential lie is Molly.
Oh,
Hmm.
Molly has spent many years overseas, and one time when she was overseas, an elephant sat on her car. Is that correct, Molly?
that is correct.
All right. Who was the first question?
Was this in Thailand?
Steve.
Sorry, Steve.
That was the best face Maria's ever made. That was a phenomenal face. Wow. Yeah, that's really good. What were you driving? Was it like a rental car?
Yeah, I had this car for work. It was like a hatchback Oldsmobile thing. I have no idea. I don't know like cars and makes, but it was like this hatchback. You know those old Woody cars? It was like that, only it wasn't wood.
Yeah.
It was silver.
Right. You don't know the specific make, model, year.
No, I have no clue, dude. I don't know.
Was it like the thing you opened the hatchback and it had the seat that faced the back way?
No, not that old. I mean, they have regular cars in Thailand.
Well,
So it was in Thailand.
Yes.
how long ago?
I lived in Thailand between 2006 and 2008. So 2 years. Yeah.
How did the insurance claim go?
I don't know. It was through my works. It was my works car.
Oh, wow.
So you
I-
just
I was-
work, an elephant sat on my car, deal with it?
Yeah. Well, you know, like I'm a foreign, I'm a foreigner. And so the car's through my work. I mean, I can't deal with all those, like, you don't go down to the Thai DMV and be like, hey, I'm a foreigner, you know? So we had all of our staff people who were Thai that took care of that stuff for us.
Leonard.
So were you in the car at the time? Was it parked somewhere? Or were you driving? What's the deal?
I was not in the car. No, it was parked.
Where were you?
I was interviewing someone. I ran a magazine in Thailand.
What?
Steve?
What scenario brought you, like, your car that close to an elephant?
Well,
Are they just roaming in Thailand?
yeah. Well, they aren't just roaming, but there's like a lot of tourism-based elephant tours and stuff. So like that's where I was doing an elephant tour. It was a tourism magazine. So you go to these,
Oh.
this one was actually called Mr. Pooh's, which is funny. And that's how I remember the name, because we were like, ha ha, Pooh. Anyways, so we go to this place and then they have all these elephants that you can, you know, you pay money and you ride an elephant. They give you a tour and it's actually kind of really sad.
Oh.
You have to make sure that you go to a reputable one that treats their elephants well. And this one was actually kind of like a refuge combo. And you can tell the elephants are sad, just a side note, because they'll shuffle their feet. This was an environmentally friendly, humane place. So they were free range elephants, I guess you could say.
Free range elephants.
So did the elephant sit on your car and go, freedom?
They're like, she's not leaving.
So were you, like, the elephants are just free to go into the parking lot and hang out and eat some peanuts and sit on cars and
It's
Mr. Pooh all over the place?
not like an amusement park. It's not like there's like a parking lot
Okay.
and like a, you know, it's all kind of dirt road and then it's all kind of open and
Yeah.
spaces, but you fences and then you park.
Sorry, I
I mean,
relate
there's
everything
a
in my
parking
life to
area. I
amusement
was
park.
with other cars. I wasn't just like I wasn't like in the middle of the herd.
Right.
Did you get a picture?
Did I get a picture?
Yeah.
No, but for Christ's sakes, that would have been the best picture ever.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so yeah, were you like, next time an elephant sits on my car, I'll get a picture?
No, it was more like, holy crap, I'm going to be in so much trouble. What do I do? How do I solve this problem? And I didn't have a photographer with me. And it was 2006. And I don't even know if I had a camera on my phone back then. Do we have cameras on our phones? I feel like I
Bad
would have
ones.
taken a picture if I did. Yeah.
All right. You heard the questions. Let's hear the story.
Okay, so I've kind of just told you the story. So I ran a tourism magazine in Phuket, Thailand. It was called Phuket Magazine, and I was the editor. And so we would have to go and do these stories on all kinds of things that Farang foreigners could go and do. And this one was to go to Mr. Poo's. We covered this particular one because it is such an ordeal over there about the treatment of elephants, and this one was humane, and they were a refuge, and they were saving them. So we went over there. I got to ride on an elephant. It was really fun. I got to feed an elephant banana, and all this is going on. I'm writing the story. I'm interviewing. I didn't interview Mr. Pooh himself. I think that was just a name, but I interviewed the handlers. And while I'm doing all that, this elephant it stepped on the thing in my car. So I didn't see it, but it was pretty epic. And so I got back to my car and I was like, there's like, what happened? Called my work, called my boss, and they drove out and came and got me, and they took care of it, which was awesome. So I got a new car out of the deal, which was fine because mine was like the old, like beat up one. So I was pretty psyched in the end. But I don't know. I don't know if insurance pays for elephants sitting on their cars.
Maybe in
All
Thailand.
right.
Maybe in Thailand.
You heard the story. Who has the first guess?
I'll go first.
All right,
Yeah,
Steve.
might as well. I'll get it out of the way. All right. I know Molly relatively well. I know she's been to Thailand. This seems like it's kind of an outlandish claim, of course, but I think if this was improvised and this was a lie, I think there would have been crazier details. She would have seen the elephant sit on her car. She would have been in it, that sort of thing. So that's the reason I'm going to go that this is actually a true story that Molly
All right,
experienced.
true for Steve. Who's next? Marie, you got an answer?
I agree with Steve. I also know that Molly has spent some time in Thailand and did some, I didn't know it was necessarily a magazine, if that's true. Mr. Pooh's, I think she's telling the truth.
All right, Nate, what's your call?
I'm gonna copy off this test and for all the same reasons and say true.
All right, Leonard, you have 3 truths from the faculty. What's your call on this?
I'm gonna have to say true also, even though in all the years I've known Molly, she's never talked about Thailand and elephants. So I'm guessing a pattern here. So
Leonard.
yeah. It's like, is there any things going to be things I've actually heard you speak about? No. So I think I like Steve's reasoning first because I figured the story description would have been, more out there if it were a lie. So I'm going to say it's true.
All right, Molly, it's time to fess up.
I lived in Thailand. I ran a magazine. I did ride an elephant. However, one never sat on my car.
Oh, come
And there you go.
on.
You gotta
Wow.
get the truth with the lie.
All right, so
That's good.
Leonard,
That's good, Bob.
you
That's good.
have,
That's good.
You have Marie winning with a lie. You have with a truth that everybody thought was a lie. You have Molly winning with a lie that everybody thought was the truth. How would you like to divvy points?
So, but just between the two or for everybody?
Anyone you would like.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I guess we'll give 200 points to Steve for leading me down the path of wrongness.
Yep. Multiple times.
Molly for a fantastic story of not actually describing the elephant sitting on the car, and I realized because I kept thinking like, well, she hasn't actually described what happened to the car. She said so many things about the fact that she was there, but nothing about the elephant. So that was very skilled. So Molly, 600 points, and Marie for not lying but showing proof of a fake Photoshop picture.
Find another one.
Marie, 400 points for Marie for photoshopping proof. After
Plus,
the fact.
plus that vegan Thai curry that she's working on.
There you
Gotta
go.
give her
Well,
some
ate
points for
that
that too.
At our break, we have Marie with 770 points, Molly with 1,400, Nate with 1,100, and Steve with 510. This is the end of the first half, and that means that any points allocated to me in the beginning of the first half goes to our faculty member with the lowest number of points. That would be Steve Corning. Steve gets my 50 points, raising his total to 560 points. This is the end of the first half. Will Molly be able to maintain her lead of 1,400 points? Find out when we return only on Balderdash Academy. Go Dashers! Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can find us on your favorite podcast service as Balderdash Academy.